think it's really hard to underestimate the importance of the representation in the popular culture. I mean, the popular culture is a unique thing. It's a thing that can pretty much shape the perceptions of many people about so many topics and things. It can change the opinions of people, and I'm pretty sure that the modern representation of LGBTQ on screen pretty much changed the attitude towards LGBTQ of so many people who got exposed to queer people through media. So even though we're just talking about some cartoons and animated shows, it is an extremely important thing to have that kind of representation that can change the society for the better in societal attitude and combat things like bigotry, for example. This is why I care so much about how different groups are presented on screen. And in recent years, animation, not just indie animation, but animation in general, I mean Western animation, I not really sure what's going on in Japanese animation because I don't really follow it all that much. But Western animation has been extremely progressive in recent years. So many great shows, both indie and shows on Netflix or Disney Channel, like The Owl House, for example. And it seems like Helluva Boss is supposed to be exactly like this. I mean, it's made by a progressive woman. It's an independent modern Western show, and while it does have some pretty good queer representation, I mean, compared to other shows, but unfortunately, in my opinion, the show still works to reinforce the patriarchal norms. Unfortunately, and I'm gonna use a few examples here from Helluva Boss and also one example from Hazbinhotel. I really do think that Hazbinhotel is much better in that regard, but still has its problem. So let's talk about my cases from these shows and the characters. Of course, the characters, the way that the female characters are presented on screen. Let's talk about Luna. I mean, Luna is a fan favorite, but are there any objective reasons to like Luna besides the fact that she's a hot goth girl, pretty much a furry bait? I mean, yes, she's got development in the second season. I'm gonna give it to the show. I mean, her development was still through the eyes of Blitz. I mean, but that's a different topic. I've already talked about it. You can find it on my channel. But in the first season, she really had almost no characteristic until the very last episodes, and her only appealing feature was that she's a hot goth girl. I mean, yeah, on the fur end. For those who are not furries, for those who don't like anthropomorphic animals who walk on two hands, she's got a human form too, and in this human form is just as attractive as her wolf form. So yeah, she was pretty much, I don't like this phrase, but it's a gooner bait. I don't know. Her whole character is essentially being a sexy goth girl, reinforcing this kind of patriarchal stereotype about goth girls. The next two, or rather three characters, are Veronica, Mayday, and Glitz and Glam. These characters, about Veronica in season 1, she's nothing. She's just a sex object. I mean, she's just a very hot pop star. She's got no characterization besides that. Again, the second season tried to solve that, but again didn't give her any sort of agency at all. But in this first season, she was nothing but just a sex object and nothing else. Just a very typical hot pop star, And Glitz and Glam, those have no characteristic at all. Their main feature is that they can sing and they're extremely hot, and not only that, they also present themselves as sex workers. I mean they're supposed to be clowns, like, right? They're supposed to be like clowns. I mean, I mean, Fitzroy is not sexualized nearly as much. I mean, I mentioned that Fitzroy isn't sexualized, but actually someone corrected me by saying that he actually, but the difference is that actually Mammon sexualizes Fitzroy and sells kind of merchandise with sexualized Fitzroy, which Fitzroy does not really enjoy. But in the show itself, Fitzroy is not sexualized, unlike Glitz and Glam. Like, he's a clown and these two are clowns, but it doesn't make sense for Glitz and Glam to be so overly sexualized. Their song is overly sexual and they present themselves, as I said, as sex workers for the masses, and that's their main appeal. No characteristics at all, nothing. We know nothing about them. They have no other traits other than being just essentially sex dolls. And you might say, but there is really nothing wrong in sexiness. There is nothing wrong in being sexy. After all, there are so many cultures in this world who pretty much suppress female sexuality. And I agree. Sometimes showing female sexuality openly can be kind of empowering or liberating, but not in the context of the Western society. In the Western society, it's been the opposite. I mean, in the last few decades, it's been the opposite. In patriarchal heteronorms is that women are essentially sex objects for men. I mean, men are supposed to be providers. Men are supposed to work, make money, provide for the family, and the role of a woman is just to, stay home and, do all the domestic chores and then please her husband in bed, and that's it. And this is the image presented by popular culture, by the movies, especially by pop music. This is why I really don't like pop music. The way it sexualizes, objectifies. I mean, not even just sexualizes, objectifies it. The popular culture strips any kind of humanity or dignity from women and lives with only this kind of sexualized shell for males to enjoy. This is how women are presented in patriarchal culture, in normal patriarchal culture. And this is exactly, I think you understand now, this is exactly what we see in the case of these four characters, Luna, Verosika, and Glitz and Glam. No agency at all. Just stereotypical, sexualized female characters for male audience to enjoy. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, in one of the first episodes of season 1, Blitz openly says that there are lots of people who would drool over Luna in the human world, and then they all stare kind of into the screen. And I mean, this is also kind of implies that imagine you are a woman and you are a heterosexual woman, and imagine you're watching a show and see this scene. Like, what are you supposed to feel? Seriously, what are you supposed to feel? Is it like, as far as I'm concerned, the show is for everyone, regardless of gender, and it's not some battle shonen fucking crazy ass isekai anime for teenage boys or whatever. I don't know. I think it is. This show does not only sexualize women; it also treats female audiences with disrespect. This is completely disrespectful, in my opinion. I might be exaggerating, but that's exactly how I feel. Complete disrespect towards the female audience of the show. The next character is, of course, Stella. Again, no characterization at all. She's just evil. She's just bad. And in the final episode, or one of the last episodes of season 2, we see her brother, Andrew Alphus, who mentions that she's hot, and mentions that pretty much everyone tolerates Stella just because she's hot. He says you're happy, you're lucky that you're hot, pretty much implying that what we see her being completely evil, unreasonably evil and abusive, is pretty much her only characteristic, besides being hot, and everyone tolerates her just because she's very physically attractive. So Stella is physically attractive and abusive, nothing else. That's how lots of men actually talk about women. There's a lots of actually yes, as a lots of men think women are. They think women have no characteristics at all. I mean, the amount of times I've talked to men who legitimately think that women are some kind of that all women are like abusive and bitchy, but they only tolerate them because they are sexually attractive and kind of provide sexual release. And again, this is exactly what happens in this show. So the more I talk, honestly, I didn't write any script, as you can judge by the way I speak. So the more I talk about it, the worse it gets, to be honest. Yeah, Helluva Boss is honestly the case. The more you scrutinize it, the worse it gets. The last character from Helluva Boss is Amberlynn. I mean, the problem with her is a bit different. She's not sexualized. I mean, not by the show itself. At least not by the show itself, but I'm pretty sure, but by some fans, by lots of fans. But fandoms are entirely different thing. I'm not talking about them. But in Amberlynn's characteristic is that she's just an obsessive fangirl. I mean, again, nothing wrong with that, but patriarchy kind of separates roles. Like women are allowed to be into fiction, or allowed to obsess over fiction and stuff, and men are supposed to be more rational, more into technology, engineering, into women are allowed to be into more artistic, creative stuff because creative fields are not very lucrative, they're risky, and they don't normally provide a lot of money, and women are not expected to provide money for the family in patriarchy. Men, on the other hand, are expected to provide money for the family, so more lucrative fields such as science, technology, engineering, and such, business, for example, and politics are for men. But to be honest, these days, you can't really make money with any degree because the job market is terrible. But we'll talk about this some other time. So they could have just, the Vivienne and the Cole could just make some kind of obsessive fanboy or something. I mean, would have been perfect, especially considering that Blitz is bisexual, and they think he's more into men than women. Would have been absolutely perfect if he's got some kind of obsessive fanboy, but no, they made a stereotypical fangirl. Again, not inherent with Beth, but Beth in the context of patriarchal heteronormativity. I guess I'm done with Helluva Boss at this point. And the last example, I'm done with my examples, not with the show itself. I'm still gonna watch it for Octavia alone. Just wanna see what they're gonna make with her. And my last example is from Hazbinhotel. There is this unnamed character in season 1, which I heard some fans nicknamed Vera. I don't know, it's not an official name. Official, she doesn't have a name. But again, she gets recruited, hired by Vox Tech to be kind of a gooner bait. I hate this phrase, but okay. To be a gooner bait for his show. Vox just hires her because she's conventionally attractive. She's not very talented. She cannot do anything. She's just hired for her attractiveness, to attract men who are attracted to beautiful women, and that's it. So again, objectifying, stripping any sort of humanity or dignity from a woman, and only leaving this sexy shell for men to enjoy. Again, patriarchy. And luckily this is kind of, this is the only example from Hazbinhotel I can think of right now. Luckily that show is better than Helluva Boss, but yeah, I think it's better not to scrutinize these shows, because under the scrutiny these shows completely fall apart. You might watch the shows, you might even enjoy them. I certainly did enjoy the second season of Hazbin, but the more you scrutinize them, the more you realize that the writers kind of the writers kind of have no idea how to write or how to develop characters. Like, it's not their strong suit. I mean, so yeah. So this, for my cases, for why Helluva Boss and by extension Hazbinhotel reinforces the patriarchal gender norms. Yes. So thank you for listening to this rant. I hope it's not too long. I tried not to make it too long, and anyway, stay with me. I have a lot of things to say. Bye.